Did you know that just one harmless breakfast item can trigger a blood sugar spike, sudden fatigue, and even heart issues, especially after 60? Today we're going to walk through 7 foods that people with diabetes, especially in older age, should avoid at all costs. This will help you keep a clear mind, steady energy, and the confidence that you are in control of your condition, not the other way around. Each tip is simple, free of medical jargon, and comes with real stories from people just like you. And at the end, there's a powerful reminder you'll want to hear. Let's start with something that might seem harmless, but really isn't. Sweet breakfasts like muffins, jam on toast, glazed buns, or sugary cereal. I know these sound comforting, especially in the morning, but for many people over 60 with diabetes or even prediabetes, they can be one of the worst ways to begin the day. Your body, especially after 60, processes sugar more slowly, and the sharp spikes and crashes caused by these quick carbohydrates can leave you feeling dizzy, foggy, or completely drained just a few hours later. I've seen this pattern so many times, a lovely breakfast followed by a shaky morning and a nap that wasn't planned. And the worst part? You often don't realize it's the food, not age, causing the issue. A few years ago, I worked with Helen, a 67-year-old retired nurse from Ohio who came in complaining of mid-morning fatigue and headaches. She was sharp, active, but told me by 10 or 11 a.m. she'd feel like her brain just powered down. When we walked through her day, her breakfast stood out. 2 slices of raisin toast with butter and jam, sometimes a muffin, always orange, juice. At first she thought it was just part of aging, but her blood sugar log told a different story. Her readings would swing from 95 up to 240 within 2 hours after breakfast. No wonder she was feeling drained. We didn't overhaul her whole life. We simply started small, switching out the sweet breads for a protein omelet with spinach, adding half an avocado, and swapping juice for water with lemon. Within a week, she said the brain fog was lifting. A month later, she was gardening again and smiling more. What helps most people in Helen's shoes is starting the day with something steady, not sugary. One of the easiest changes is to trade those sweet items for a breakfast built on protein and healthy fats. Think scrambled eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt without added sugar, or even a slice of whole grain toast with almond butter. These don't spike your sugar, and they keep you full longer, without that roller coaster dip at 10 a.m. I always say, breakfast is like pouring the foundation for your day. If it's too soft, everything built on top feels unstable. But if you start with something steady and nourishing, your whole day can feel stronger. And you don't need to be perfect. Just start with one better breakfast. You deserve mornings that give you energy, not take it away. Here's something many folks overlook just because it's so familiar. Plain white bread, dinner rolls, toast from the toaster, those soft slices you've probably been eating for decades. The thing is, once you're past 60 and managing blood sugar, your body doesn't process those starches the way it used to. White bread has a very high glycemic index, meaning it breaks down quickly into sugar in your bloodstream. But because it's low in fiber, it doesn't slow that process down or keep you full for long. The result? You get a sharp rise in blood sugar, and then just as sharp a drop, which can lead to fatigue, hunger, and even inflammation over time. For many older adults, it also gets in the way of wound healing, circulation, and energy balance. If you've been noticing slower recovery from cuts or a sluggish feeling after meals, your daily bread might be worth a second look. I remember Frank, a retired postman from Indiana, who came in after a long stretch of poorly healing wounds on his foot. He was 72, active, always had a good sense of humor, and admitted he had a soft spot for toast in the morning. 2 slices of white bread with a little jam every single day. When he developed a small cut on his toe, it didn't heal like it used to. Weeks passed, then months, and eventually he had to undergo a partial amputation due to a diabetic infection that got out of control. That was a wake-up call. During recovery, we sat down together to talk through his meals. And sure enough, simple carbs like white bread were showing up far too often. He switched to a denser, whole grain bread with real seeds and fiber, and later even started experimenting with homemade oat bread using a simple recipe we found online. Over time, his energy improved, his glucose readings were more stable, and he even said he looked forward to breakfast more than before, knowing he was feeding his body better. One of the easiest and most practical changes I often suggest is swapping out white bread for whole grain options that have visible seeds, oats, or bran. These provide more fiber, slow down digestion, and help you stay fuller longer without sugar spikes. If baking is your thing, try simple oat flour bread. You can even make it in a slow cooker or bread machine, and it freezes well. Just remember, a small change like your daily toast might seem simple, but it can lead to a big shift in how your body feels and heals. You're not giving anything up, you're giving yourself more support. And that's what real care looks like after 60. Another sneaky source of trouble I see all the time is liquid sugar, especially in the form of fruit juice and soda. Now I get it, juice sounds healthy and soda may feel like a small treat, but when you're over 60 and managing diabetes, these drinks can do real damage. Unlike whole fruits that come with fiber to slow the sugar down, juice goes straight into your bloodstream. That rapid spike forces your body into overdrive, trying to bring things back to normal, which not only exhausts your system, but can leave you feeling lightheaded, anxious, or even shaky an hour later. And with age, your body's ability to regulate those sugar swings becomes more fragile. Many people I work with have no idea their morning orange juice is sending their glucose levels into the danger zone before they even leave the house. I'll never forget Patricia, a 69-year-old retired teacher from North Carolina. She had this beautiful morning routine: sit by the window with a crossword and a glass of fresh orange juice. She truly believed it was the healthiest way to start the day. But over time, she noticed she felt dizzy by mid-morning and sometimes needed to lie down before lunch. One day, she fainted at the grocery store. Her blood sugar had surged to nearly 300 and dropped just as fast. When we reviewed her meals, nothing stood out right away, but when we dug deeper, that daily juice showed up as a major trigger. It wasn't easy for her to let it go. It had become emotional comfort. So we took it slow. First, she switched to lemon water, then added in berries for flavor, and eventually fell in love with peppermint tea. It didn't feel like giving something up anymore. It felt like she was doing something kind for her body. Her numbers stabilized, and she told me she finally felt steady again, both physically and emotionally. What often helps in these situations is making a gradual switch. One of the simplest steps is to replace fruit juice or soda with flavored water. You can add slices of lemon, cucumber, or a few frozen berries for taste. Herbal teas are another wonderful option that hydrate you without sugar or chemicals. Even just plain water, sipped regularly throughout the day, makes a big difference. You've spent a lifetime taking care of others, so now it's time to offer that same care to yourself. And sometimes that starts with what you pour into your glass. You don't have to make drastic changes overnight. Even one better choice each morning is a sign that you're moving in the right direction. You deserve to feel strong, calm, and clear, and your body will thank you for every small step. Let me talk about something that's on a lot of plates, especially at breakfast: processed meats like bacon, sausages, salami, or deli ham. They may seem like a small indulgence, but for older adults managing diabetes or high blood pressure, these foods can quietly cause a lot of trouble. What makes them risky isn't just the fat content. It's the high amounts of salt, preservatives, and chemical additives that come with them. As we age, our kidneys become more sensitive, our blood vessels less flexible, and our body's ability to filter out excess sodium slows down. That means these salty meats can raise your blood pressure and worsen inflammation, making it harder to keep your diabetes under control. And that's something I've seen more times than I can count. One of the cases that really stuck with me was Raymond, a 74-year-old from Kansas City who came to me after a minor stroke. He was doing well in rehab, motivated and walking again, but still clung to one habit: morning bacon. "It's my comfort," he told me, and I didn't argue. I just asked him to keep a food diary. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure had jumped again, and when we sat down, it was clear that between the bacon, occasional hot dogs, and packaged cold cuts, his salt intake was through the roof. He didn't want to hear it at first, but when his doctor warned him that another spike could lead to another stroke, Raymond asked for alternatives. We worked together to build a new routine: boiled chicken with herbs, roasted turkey breast with garlic, and salmon once a week. He even learned to make a slow-cooked stew with lentils and lean beef that became his favorite. He told me he never realized how much flavor he could get without relying on salt or smoke. What often helps is starting with small swaps you can control. One of the easiest ways to reduce your risk is to cook your meats at home. Bake or boiled chicken, gently stewed turkey, or even fish in parchment with lemon and herbs. That way, you know what goes into your body. And you're not at the mercy of chemicals and hidden sodium. Your health isn't just in your medical charts. It's in your kitchen, in the choices you make every day. And every better choice is a step towards strength. You're not giving up flavor. You're choosing a future where you feel more in charge, more steady, and more supported from the inside out. Let's talk about something that's often seen as a well-deserved treat, these cookies and cakes from the store. I completely understand the comfort that comes with a slice of cake after dinner, or a cookie with your afternoon tea. But for those of us managing diabetes, especially over 60, these processed sweets can quietly make things worse. The real issue isn't just the sugar, it's the combination of sugar and industrial fats like trans fats, which are commonly used in store-bought baked goods to make them last longer. These ingredients lead to inflammation, blood sugar spikes, and increase the risk of complications like nerve damage and vision problems. And since our metabolism slows with age, your body just can't clear that overload as easily anymore. It sticks around and builds up. I remember Linda, a 65-year-old retired accountant from Phoenix, who came in after noticing some changes in her vision. She thought it was just getting older, but her eye exam showed early diabetic retinopathy, something that can progress quickly if blood sugar isn't under control. When we talked through her habits, nothing major stood out at first. She didn't drink soda, didn't eat fast food, but once a week she visited her favorite bakery and bought a slice of layered cake with thick frosting. It was her little reward. The thing is that one slice packed in over 40 grams of sugar and a hefty dose of trans fats. That, combined with other sweets she didn't even realize were high in sugar, like coffee, creamer, and crackers, was enough to push her levels up consistently. After her diagnosis, we worked together to find new dessert ideas she could enjoy without guilt. She started making her own baked goods at home using almond flour and stevia, and even tried a new favorite, a bowl of cottage cheese with fresh berries and a sprinkle of cinnamon. She said it felt clean, and over time, her energy and vision both improved. What often helps people is simply learning to swap out the processed desserts for something they make themselves. One of the easiest ways to start is by baking with almond or coconut flour and using natural sweeteners like stevia or monk fruit. And if baking's not your thing, try a handful of raspberries with a spoonful of Greek yogurt. It's simple, safe, and still feels like a treat. Every bite is a small decision, and those small decisions add up. You're not giving up joy. You're shifting where it comes from. You deserve to feel good after your meals, not worried or tired. Even the smallest change in your dessert plate can be the beginning of a better path. And that's something you absolutely deserve, something that often flies under the radar, but really adds up, is canned foods and ready-made meals. I completely understand the appeal. They're quick, they last long, and when you're cooking for one or just tired, it feels easier to open a can than start from scratch. But here's the thing. These foods are often loaded with hidden sugars, excess salt, and chemical flavor enhancers like MSG. For someone over 60, especially if you're managing diabetes or blood pressure issues, these extra additives can quietly make things worse. Your kidneys don't filter like they used to, and too much sodium or sugar can cause swelling, increase your risk of complications, or keep your blood sugar swinging when what you really need is stability. Walter, a 76-year-old widower from Nebraska, came to me complaining of swelling in his feet and ankles. He was sharp, independent, and proud of living alone, but he admitted he wasn't much of a cook. Most of his meals came from cans, soups, beans, stews, and microwave dinners that were quick to heat and didn't take much effort. When we looked through the labels together, he was shocked by how many grams of sodium and added sugars were in each serving, sometimes triple what he should be having in a day. We started slowly, not with judgment, but with curiosity. I helped him create a 2-day meal prep plan using frozen veggies, brown rice, hard-boiled eggs, and simple seasonings like garlic, olive oil, and lemon juice. Within a week, the swelling eased, his energy improved, and he even picked up an old hobby, painting, because he hadn't felt this clear-headed in years. What often helps is getting in the habit of checking ingredient labels, not calories, but what's actually inside. Look out for words like corn syrup, glucose, fructose, maltodextrin, and monosodium glutamate. If you can't pronounce it or wouldn't add it in your own kitchen, it probably doesn't belong on your plate. Even cooking a simple batch of grains or vegetables once every couple of days gives you meals you can trust, and your body will feel the difference. You've earned the right to eat in a way that supports your strength and peace of mind. Your meals should give you energy, not take it away. Even the smallest shift, like replacing one can with one home-cooked bowl, can be a quiet but powerful gift you give yourself. You're worth that care. One thing I often bring up gently, because it's such a comfort food, is fried food, especially potatoes. Whether it's French fries, hash browns, or crispy snacks, there's no denying they taste good. But for those over 60, especially with diabetes or circulation problems, fried foods create a slow and stubborn kind of damage. The combination of oil and starch causes a delayed blood sugar rise that can sneak up on you and last for hours, putting stress on your pancreas and blood vessels. Plus, the repeated use of high-heat oils in restaurants or packaged foods adds compounds that increase inflammation, which is exactly what your body doesn't need when it's trying to heal or stay balanced. I remember Dorothy, a 70-year-old retired librarian from Oregon, who came to me frustrated that a small sore on her leg wouldn't heal. It had been over 2 months and the skin just stayed raw. Her labs looked okay, but when we talked through her meals, she laughed and said, "I know you're not going to like this, but I love my fries." She had them almost every day, often from the drive-thru near her apartment. It was a routine, something familiar and tasty, but when I explained how the fried starch was likely delaying her body's ability to heal, even if the rest of her diet looked okay, she agreed to try something different. We swapped the fries for roasted vegetables, sweet potatoes tossed in olive oil and paprika, cauliflower baked with garlic, and carrots with cumin. She said the first week felt strange, but by week 3, she looked forward to dinner in a whole new way. And that wound, it finally began to close. What often helps people is simply learning how to keep the flavor without the frying. One of the easiest ways is to use the oven or an air fryer. Sweet potato wedges with spices, roasted cauliflower, or seasoned carrots can give you that crispy satisfaction without the heavy oil. You still get the comfort, just in a form your body can actually work with. You don't have to give up the food you love, just give it a better shape. Your body still responds to kindness, even in small forms, and flavor doesn't disappear just because you turn off the frying pan. There's still joy in the meal, and more strength in the days that follow. If even one of these foods has been on your plate, don't blame yourself. You're not at fault. You're learning how to take care of yourself in a new way. Leave a comment and let us know which advice spoke to you most. It helps us, and it helps other viewers too. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss more videos made with heart, just for people like you. You are not alone. You're stronger than you think, and life, it keeps going as long as you hold on to it.